So many software companies are bootstrapped, but how do you get from that zero when you start to $10 million? I had Saravana Kumar from kovai.co come on the show. Super cool story, hearing how he came up with the idea, how he started the whole process, how he got the company off the ground, and when he started hiring people, and now he's at 250 people in his company and over 10 million in revenue. You're going to love this story.
Welcome to SaaS-Story in the Making, the podcast that features the people who made the software world what it is today and the leaders who are shaping the future of technology. Here's your host, Matt Wallach.
Yes, I am your host. This is Matt, and you are listening and watching to SaaS-Story in the Making. Welcome. Really excited to have you here. And I'm delighted to be joined by my special guest, Saravana Kumar. Saravana, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be part of the show today.
Great. I'm excited to have you as part of the show. For everybody out there, let me tell you about Saravana. This guy is awesome. He's the founder and CEO of kovai.co. Kovai.co offers multiple products at scale in both enterprise and in B2B SaaS space. And they empower 1,500 plus customers around the world to run their businesses. He's an entrepreneur, an investor, and a technical enthusiast, and he's passionate about running and scaling a company in a profitable way with calculated risks. So I'm really looking forward to listening to what he has to say with us here today. Once again, Saravana, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, let's get started. Yeah,
Absolutely. So tell me, what have you been up to lately and what's coming up for you guys over there?
Yeah, like as you mentioned, we are a multi-product company. So initially we started off as a single product. It's called Bootstrap 360. That's when it was started back in 2010 as a single founder. I used to do consulting for 10 years between 2000 and 2010 in the specialized area called Microsoft Bootstrap Server. And I identified a problem faced by a lot of enterprise customers. And I started off as a hobby thing, as a single founder, and that organically grown into a proper company now. And we are about 250 employees now and 1,500 customers. And around 2015, 16, we ventured into it's a more of multi-product company. We saw further opportunities coming when you're dealing with the problem enterprise customers, and then slowly we expand into multiple products now. So we have 5 products under our portfolio. All of them are pretty matured and scalable, and we are acquiring more and more customers. It's a really good position to be in. And under the radar, we are also building a brand new product in a stealth mode, which is going to be launched somewhere beginning of next year. Probably we see it's about like a 12 to 15 month cycle to build that product. So and also in terms of hiring, there's a lot of things going on at this moment. We scaled during this COVID time. We were only like 50, 60 people end of 2019. So from there we went to 250 plus at the moment.
Wow.
in the last 18 months. So you can imagine the scale at which we have gone, and all happened during this COVID time. So when everyone were going in the cut down mode, we actually accelerated and then gone quite a bit steep in the last 18 months or so. There's a lot happening in the company now, and we're all super busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Very cool to hear about that growth. Can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to start kovai.co? Because I really want to hear about you had some great consulting experience, but where did you decide to say, hey, this is a product that needs to happen?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, I was doing this 10 years consulting, and I was specialized in this one particular product from Microsoft called Bootstrap Server. So it's a middleware integration product. If you look at, I think the modern Zapier and IFTT, actually those guys picked up these ideas from enterprise product like Bootstrap Server, and there is a product from IBM, and Oracle got a product, and it's a very well-defined segment in enterprises. So when I was doing consulting work, and I spotted a gap in that product, from Microsoft when it comes to security, monitoring, analytics, some of the typical enterprise requirements that were not filled by Microsoft. And that is when Microsoft started moving more into the direction of cloud, and their focus shifted from this particular on-premise product into cloud, and they stopped investing into this BizTalk server product. And that's where I saw the opportunity. Okay, Microsoft is moving away, and there are like 12,000 enterprise customers worldwide. They need features like this, and I just picked it up. So initially, I was working for Fidelity Investments that time as a consultant. I just went to my manager and I said, "Hey, it looks interesting. I wanted to give it a try." And we kind of come to a conclusion. Okay, I'll go part-time with them. So I did 3 days a week for them and 2 days building this product. I did it for 1 year. First 1 year, that's how I built the first version of the product. And it took me about 12 to 15 months to build the V1 of the product. And I'm also part of, the Microsoft got a program called Most Valuable Professional. So they identify people who are very competent in a specific technology, and they award this award. So just to give you the scale, there are only 20 people in the world with the title for BizTalk server. That's the scale of that program. So
that's cool.
So that gave me like a very good network within the community, and things what we are talking now, like influencer marketing and inbound marketing, they all came as part of it, because I was writing blogs in this particular technology since 2004. So by the time when I launched the product, I already had an audience of some 15,000 people, very focused audience who really are into that segment. And also they see you more like an influencer already. So, they trust you, and all those things were in place. The building blocks were there in place. So when I launched it in 2011, that's when I started in February 2010, and the product was launched in 2011 June. And that year, like within five months, I was able to close 5 large enterprise customers. One is a big Fortune 100 oil company, and the main reason being, like nobody is solving that problem, and they need that thing, what I was building up, and it all came out nicely. And I was alone, pretty much a single guy for up to 30 customers, and then I hired I converted one of my living room in London to a small office for 5 people, and then I had 5 people in London. And we scaled up to 150 customers. For 2 years, we were in that mode, scaling up to 150 enterprise customers. And then we set up our first proper office, both in London, a small office for about 10 people, and then simultaneously an office in India for 20 people. And since then, I just, we probably have more conversation downstream, like what happened after that. So that is how it all got started, and organically grown. And also, we are bootstrapped completely. Until this
Beautiful.
point, we haven't taken any external money. That's mainly because the cash flow was all positive. We were very frugal and conservative. When I say we, it's basically me. I was very frugal and conservative in terms of how I wanted to run the company, rather than focus. That's why when you did the intro, I'm more passionate about building profitable businesses rather than growth at any cost and throw a lot of money and do this and that. And it looks nice outside, but it's actually not nice inside. So I don't want to be in that mode. I think that's how it's all started, and gradually we kept our eyes open, and then more opportunities. When we saw more opportunities, we built more products, and one of the products we acquired last year, basically. So now we are getting into that acquisition mode of find opportunities and acquire them and go bigger, basically.
I love it. What a terrific story. Very inspiring. I love that you saw an opportunity, something that you were, adjacent to, and you saw that chance and you took it and you just leaped for it. It's fantastic. I want to hear about this employee growth. You went from, what was it, 30 or 50 employees to 250 in how quick?
We were growing very slow. Even though the company was started back in 2010, we were only growing incrementally. For first 5 years, we were about 40 people. It's since 2015, 2016, and 2019, the employee strength were around 60 people. That is the max capacity of our office in India. That's it. We had an office only for 60 people, and we reached that point. Then what we did is, now everything was set up. The products are there, the revenue is there, and there's enough balance to take a bigger risk. that's when we decided, we put a 10-year plan where we want to be in 2030, and said, okay, we are going big. And then we invested about $1.2 million in a brand new office space. So it can take about 300 people capacity, completely set up like a high standard startup culture kind of thing in a small city in Coimbatore. It's a massive investment. I think that's 1.2 in India terms. We spent real $1.2 million in India. If you want to set up a similar thing in London and San Francisco, you're looking at $10 million investment, kind of almost.
Wow.
So that's what we set up. And then, we accelerated our hiring, and January 2020 is when we accelerated. And since in the last 18 months or so, we've gone from 60 people to 250. Yeah.
Awesome. Super, super cool story. And that amount of growth is phenomenal. How have you been able to find that number of people, and how have you made sure that they absorb the culture that you've built over the time up to that point?
Yeah, sure. I think that is always a bigger issue when we are scaling that rapidly. Like the company, keeping the company culture, and then keeping that without affecting that core people, and they shouldn't feel left out. Like all of a sudden the company was a cool small company, and then now you're so big and a lot of red tapes and processes and things like that. So one good thing is we build a lot of good management layer, like leaders within the company who understands the culture, and we brought them into each one of them, and there's a lot of training programs and educational things to keep the culture intact. And also we brought some things like complete training inside the company to grow at scale. Like for example, the bottom part of junior developers and developers, like we had like a complete program to we bring like 30-40 people as a batch, and we have a full-time training program to transform them into the skill sets what we want within the company to build the products. And that is how we were able to scale a lot of engineering resources, and the sales and marketing. It's a lot of training basically. We look for raw talent rather than whether they have experience. We just whether they're coachable, trainable, and will they transform in 3 months, 6 months time to what we want. And that's how we take. And then that is and also some of the lateral hires as well. Like we hired some senior people. And the growth story, we started investing more on branding, and then that helped quite a lot to attract some good talent in the we are one of the fastest growing companies in that small area, so that attracts a lot of talent from across the companies. That helped to scale as well. Yeah.
Got it. That's super, super cool. I love that story. I want to understand, you offer several products, and it sounds like they're all really great products, but how do you set up your sales teams? Are the salespeople focused? Is each person focused on one product, or does the whole team, are they all able to sell everything? How does that work with your sales structure?
Yeah, I think all the products basically, like they are run like independent companies within the main company. So they basically do the full stack is independent. So the engineering resources, the sales resources, marketing resources, everything is almost like an independent company. So we have about 30 to 50 people is what we are looking at as a sweet spot for each product. Because anything bigger than that, it's so difficult to manage. And, you probably know Jeff Bezos' 2 pizza rule, right? Like any team you should be able to feed them with 2 pizzas, because anything more than that, you might end up doing wrong things. So we keep the structure like that. And also, I touched on the training thing, like each product is different, it's not really complementing. Like some of the products are completely different. For example, Document 360 is one of the new product which came out of the frustration for us writing documentation for other products, enterprise products. That's how it came out as a new product. We looked at the market, and we were suffering ourselves for last 3-4 years building a good knowledge base for our enterprise product, and that transformed into a product on its own. So yeah, I think not only sales, every product, we run almost like a separate company, and we have it on its own P&L and targets and budgets and everything. And also it's different in terms of the sales cycle of for example, Bootstrap 360, our enterprise product, is 4 to 6 months, but the document 360 could be, 2 to 3 weeks. So it's a completely different playbooks and how you sell it as well. So that's how we structured the company internally. Yeah.
Very interesting. So I think that's super fascinating. Do you have any competition between the products? Like, hey, we did this much, you did that much. Do you have that friendly, bit of competition there?
Yeah, I think internally it's all transparent. Every month we disclose what is the. We don't put the not revenue numbers are limited to a few people, but the number of customers we acquired and customers we lost, all those things are transparent across the company. Even a junior person will know everything. So there's a kind of like a friendly competition that also sometimes it also it's not good. Like when the enterprise product, the numbers are different. They might close only like say 5 deals that month, but the document 360, like a product where the ARPU is like like $150 per month, they would have closed 30 customers or 50 customers that month. So they don't understand the context sometimes, but I think it's good. Like the main thing, the advantage what I see with the multi-product company is the learnings from one product get transformed quickly into other products. Even today we had I attend a weekly engineering meeting, and these guys were trying to build something, and I immediately told them this is exactly what we built in this product 3 months ago. Just talk to them and then just take it and implement it here. So that cross team learnings and then adoption helps significantly with the multi-product here.
Yeah, I would think so. So we've got the cross engineering teams. What about customers who have 1 or 2 products? Do you guys cross sell other products to those customers? Do you upsell them on, hey, get more?
Yeah, I think even though we have 5 products, like 3 of them are kind of interconnected. Like we can sell to the same customer base. They are enterprise products, any large enterprise. Sure. For example, Bootstrap 360 is an integration product, more on-premise, kind of a legacy kind of a product. But those customers are moving to the cloud, and we have a product called Serverless 360, which is designed for more cloud and cloud challenges. So when they are moving to the cloud, we have the opportunity to cross-sell to them. And also the company we acquired last year, like Cerebretta, it's called. It's a kind of keeping cross-selling in mind, because if we all competing in fact, they are kind of a competitor now, even though the product is completely different from a customer point of view. That there's a level of misunderstanding, and they might think as like a competitor. So that's one of the reasons we acquired that company and then brought the engineering team. So those 3 products are basically we can cross sell to them. On the other hand, we have this document 360 is completely out of the blue, like it's not connected to them. But still, there is an opportunity, because every enterprise needs some kind of a knowledge base, private knowledge bases and private public knowledge bases, etc. So there's always a cross-selling opportunity. But if I'm doing it again, from scratch, probably I will pick up, more related products, so that you can always cross-sell completely. For the new product we are doing is actually in those lines. We can actually cross-sell completely to our existing customer base here.
Cool. That's so cool. I think that's super smart to be able to generate more revenues within the customer base. And I want to kind of dive into it. You were bootstrapped, which you mentioned before, but now you've reached over 10 million in revenue. Obviously, you've done some great things along the way. What would you say, Saravana, are some of the best things you did along your path that helped you get there?
Yeah, I will say, initially playing conservative. Like I told you, since 2018, we were very conscious on, how we spend and, what we are building, so that is very important from a bootstrap perspective, because you don't have any investors' money to do some crazy experiments and, put it in the bin. So you need to be cautious about every dollar you are spending, what is ROI on the dollar, and, I will say, even though it might look like the growth is slow, like when you compare it with, some of those really fast growing, but there's no regrets. There's a lot of learnings for us in this last 10 years, because of when you're doing it, everything cautiously, carefully, like you learn quite a bit, every experiment you're learning and understanding and things like that. So that is why I mentioned, okay, now we have all the foundation, basically, we have learned everything. We know how to build products, how to get the GTM for the products, and how to take it to the market, and we are looking at what can we do in the next 10 years is what we are looking. I think the goal is, can we create $1 billion company out of this? Is what the big picture what we are looking at by at least by 2030. So yeah.
That's so cool. I love it. So what advice would you give to new software founders starting out who are looking to see similar scale?
Okay, I think it depends on what stage they are in. Like, because one of the challenge I'm seeing right now is, a lot of really young kids, like millennial kids, straight out of uni, and they really, reading all this fancy stuff. Even, I don't know, somebody's watching this video, like, they'll jump on, right? Okay, let's go build a product, and we will be $10 million revenue in like 10 years. But what they miss out is this is actually like a 25 years effort, like, looking back and, right from what you learned and, understanding the industry and understanding everything, and then, taking it step by step. So if you're in a very early stage of your career, you just came out of uni and you want to try something, I would recommend, don't jump and do things on your own, because even though that you might see some really cool stories, 1 or 2 stories, a couple of unique guys started and turned it into $1 billion, like, even Stripe, the couple of guys, like very young, and they started and they turned it into like over $100 billion business. But those are very rare outliers, like that will be 1 in a million cases. So if you want to be, cautious, and you really want to make it as a, because you don't have that much bandwidth to keep failing, because like you need to be precise as an individual. You need to be very cautious what you're doing, whether you're going the right direction. So if you're a young individual, spend some time, at least 2-3 years, in a really like a fast growing startup, or where a lot of things are happening, learn everything. And then once you have a absolute clarity of like how to build products and how to sell products as well, both are important. Because a lot of times what happens is, how to build, but you don't know how to sell. The vice versa as well. You may be able to sell, but you don't have a good product to sell, right? So you need to match those equations correctly, so that you have both the skill sets, and then go for it. But if you're a later stage developer, maybe somebody who are in 30s, you've experienced that, and you wanted to try it out, this is a good time, because everything today you can compete with anybody in the world, basically. Like that's how we see it. And that is actually a big threat for large companies now, Microsoft and Google, and you don't know where that little guy is going to come and disrupt your technology. You never know that maybe like a competing technology for Google somewhere burning, like a bunch of people like trying with a new way of doing things. That is the biggest disruption that's going to happen. So if you're clear, you have a very clear picture of the same equation, how to build and how to sell, then jump on and figure it out. Initially you can fund yourself, but once you have a traction, these days, you don't even need to have like a big traction. Even if you have like 50 customers, 100 customers, and you're saying like month on month growth, money is available in the market. Like you can take it, basically.
Yeah, I love it. What I really enjoyed hearing there was you have used your past experiences to give you what you needed in what you've done in this company. Kovai.co has been built based on what you've learned throughout your 25 years of work experience. And I completely agree. When you're getting a company started, you don't have to know everything about that specific industry, but use what you've already learned before and apply that. And I think it's fantastic advice. And you also mentioned join a startup, because I was educated at an Ivy League school. But what I've learned in my startups, I mean, just the breadth of knowledge. There's so many different things in a startup you have to know, because you wear so many hats. You have to understand all different pieces of a business. And so if you've been a part of a startup, you learn so much quickly, like drinking through a fire hose. You understand all sorts of different pieces of the business, and it makes it much easier to then go out and start one up yourself. I think that's fantastic advice, Saravana. I could not agree more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think there is a famous saying from Jack Ma, like if you, in the large companies, you learn processes and stability and those kind of things. But in young startup, you break things, that's how the design is, like you don't worry about anything. You wear a lot of hats. Even today, like as I said, even though we're 250 people company, there is actually 5 small startups inside that inside that 250 people company, because we don't want to lose that agility of breaking things and moving fast and learning quickly and then adopting. And that's a good environment for for especially young people. I'll say, like, the first 5 years of your career is crucial. Don't worry about money. That's what, when even today when somebody leaves the company, that is when I go for I speak to pretty much everybody there. They're leaving the company, and I ask them, like, are you making a conscious decision? Because majority of the time the switching will come down to money, basically. Okay, you're getting maybe another 20-30% more than what you're getting, but are you aware of what you will be losing in an environment where you are now, on the learning curve, what you are going through? And majority of of our employees, the moment if they apply, I'm pretty sure there will be at least 50-100% hike. There's no doubt about it. But you might get stuck after that. That one jump, you'll get stuck. So it's very important. Again, coming back to the advice, in the early stage of your career, it's so important. The first 5 years, learn as much as possible. That is the best thing you can do, and money will come eventually.
I completely agree. I think that's fantastic advice. And this has been awesome getting to know you, Saravana, and hearing your story and how you've built kovai.co so well. How can our audience learn more about you and what you're doing over there?
Okay, if you want to learn more about the product, company and products and everything, the best place is go to kovai.co or kovai.com. So we have the .com domain, but since the Kovai is our branding, we use kovai.co. You have everything about the product, our culture, and the work environment, everything. And every product got its own website on its own, and that's more to learn about the company. And to learn about me, if you're interested to know more about my story, I'm sure a lot of I try to give interviews like this. It's good to share with people, and learnings. I'm sure that it might inspire at least 1 or 2 people to looking at the story. So if you just search my name, I'm sure you'll find a lot of interviews given to various people. That's the best way to learn. And also LinkedIn is a good place. If you want to just get connected, just search my name on LinkedIn. It's not that difficult to find me now. So.
Perfect. And we'll put all of that into the show notes on the podcast and down below on the YouTube description as well. But Saravana, this has been great. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Matt, for having me on the show. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Likewise, I enjoyed it as well. And everybody else, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate you watching and listening. Please make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, you're going to be notified of any new episodes coming out. We're constantly talking with amazing leaders and innovators like Saravana, so you do not want to miss that. Go ahead and subscribe. And if you like what you're hearing, please give us a like and give us a good rating. It really helps us get more content for you. Thank you very much for coming, and we will see you next time. Take care.